People asked me how to prepare for what's coming, and that's in a way an easy way. Um, First of all, don't do it alone. I mean, the way that people fight back against the rise of authoritarianism is by creating communities, by making sure they have each other's backs, by speaking up, by not permitting things to happen. And I think that this is one of the ways we got to where we are, is that so many people were didn't push back enough against the people who began spouting this hatred. And now is not the time to say, I'm just going to keep my head down, because that leaves those of us who are not keeping our heads down hugely at risk. So you found your communities before the election, stay with them. And that's not just about politics. That's about education and about food and about healthcare and about helping each other out. And that knitting of the bonds of community, not only locally, but also over the internet and all the different ways we can do things, is going to be really important going forward. So don't isolate yourself. The ideal member of an authoritarian community is somebody who's isolated. Everybody says that. You want to make sure that people are not isolated, that they don't feel alone, and that they feel like they can move forward together, sad though they might be. It also means that you'll protect the people within your communities who are vulnerable, and that's going to be really important. Now, that being said, it is key to, somebody just asked, is it possible that he will appoint enough people that he will change the makeup of the House and the Senate so that the Democrats get a majority. The House Republicans are already saying to him, cut it out. You're taking away our majority. Like I say, he doesn't really know how things work. So if he does that, he's further gone than I thought. And somebody will slap some sense into him and say, don't lose our majorities. You can put somebody else in there. And I think a lot of the appointments he is floating are just ways to make people feel good. I'm rewarding your Senate, your representative. I'm rewarding your governor, and then it may not happen. It's just, and that's actually, people have done that in the past. Not so much lately, but they have done it in the past. All right. So the other thing that is very interesting to me in this moment is that the real power of the people is devolving to the states. And that is a really good place to be using your muscle going forward. Certainly not to let the national stuff disappear, but as I say, in the states, people have been voting to put in place the kinds of policies that people like me care about. The protection of abortion rights, the minimum wages, the sorts of policies that people want. And key to that is going to be things like making sure that your states do not adopt voucher programs, which is a way for the national government or way for the governments, and that Trump says he's going to do for the national government, to gut public education. So, really use your muscle at the state level. And if you're in a state that is dominated by Democrats, those states are saying they will make a stand against Trump. And if you're in a Republican-dominated state, that will be harder. But worth remembering, again, that states like Missouri, which has had a Republican majority forever, I mean, like for more than over a decade, they voted for abortion rights. So the toxicity of the federal government so far is not bubbling down to or not dropping down to the state level. And there is room down at the state level to run for office, to go to your town meetings, go to your ward meetings, go to all the places where people's voices can be heard, and really put pressure there. Because at the state level, there certainly are people who are MAGA Republicans at the state level, but at the state level, a lot of legislators just want to legislate for their states, and that will be a backstop against too much authoritarian, or against authoritarianism at the federal level, if we can shore up those states. And it is worth remembering that one of those states is California. California is a very large state. It's the fifth largest economy in the world, not in America, but in the world, and it's going to have a lot of clout. Similarly, Massachusetts, New York, Illinois, those are all states that can really push back on the agenda. So focus on the states and the local level. Okay, so yeah, Ohio's already a mess, but look at Ohio. That's a great. Somebody just said Ohio's already authoritarian. That's true, but Ohio is a freaking mess. The degree to which there could be pushback on DeWine and the whole energy thing. I mean, there's a lot of people who ought to be pissed off about the fact you all in Ohio are paying huge amounts of money for a corrupt deal that put a ton of money in the pockets of the Republicans, the Republican state people. I mean, that's ridiculous. Anyway, that brings me to my final point, and that is